And when is this day coming up for the Florida Faith Alliance?
It's coming up January 11th in the morning, 10 to 12, and coffee is being served by Stewart Carmela Coffee.
Where's it at? Where's it at?
At the YMCA in Stewart, right off of Monterey Road, right in their gym.
Oh, really?
Yes, and not only that, there's going to be demonstrations of how kids and also women could protect themselves in a situation where maybe you were approached or attacked, and what to do, how to defend yourself. Even little kids can learn to defend themselves, because we got a lot of predators and traffickers out there.
Yes.
So it's about time that we started teaching people how to defend themselves. We are not victims. We need to be overcomers, and that's exactly what we want to do. So we want families to come. We want concerned citizens to come. We want anybody to come that needs to learn about self-defense, online defense, situational defense, and there's a lot of different organizations involved.
Do you think all the people who were telling us about know what or who Florida Faith Alliance is about?
Well, guess what? Florida Faith Alliance is all about uniting to fight child trafficking.
Yes.
Because what's the fastest growing crime in the world, Janet?
Human trafficking, children trafficking.
Child trafficking
trafficking.
is the fastest growing crime.
Oh.
And what we're learning is astounding. It's in one way terrifying, but in another way inspiring, because we all get to do something about it. And that's what this is. So this is our church family here, by the way. These are all the people that are behind us, and Florida Faith Alliance volunteers who are involved and who really want to stand up and protect children.
Yes.
And protect anybody who's a
Yes.
victim of human trafficking.
Yes.
So anyone could come in the community.
Yes, we want everybody to come. The price is right. It's $10 per person, and it's $5 for children. But guess what? We have a free prize, a protective gift for every family.
Yes.
And I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's a surprise.
It's a surprise.
We also have a Chinese auction, all kinds of wonderful raffle items. There's really cool stuff that's going on with this. So I'm excited about it.
Are there sponsorship opportunities?
Ooh, Lisa, tell us about the sponsorships.
Well, there's a Title Hero, the Diamond Defender sponsor, the Platinum Defender sponsor, the Gold Defender sponsor, and the Protector. And it's an opportunity for businesses to get branding and to just be a part of making a difference in our community.
So if you want to sponsor, you will get a table there, and we will talk about you and announce you and your business and what you do for our community right there at that event, where we have the audience and people who are interested in what you bring to the table.
Is there a phone number they call, or is there a website that they go on?
So the website is floridafaithalliance.org, events, or it's right there on the home page. And we all have these flyers here, so hold up your flyers. So it's so exciting to be able to present something like this in the community. And Tony, who else is involved with this? Why don't you tell them?
A couple of people that we are so happy that will be helping us that day send the message. So the first one is Baron Roberts and his coach, Marcello Cohen. So Baron is 13 years old. He is a world champion in his age group for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's truly amazing.
Wow.
He's had a past where he wasn't able to participate in sports, thought he never would be, got introduced to the martial arts, and he's worked his way up from age 6 to 13 now as a world champion. His coach, Marcello Cohen, is also a world champion in the adult category, and he is known almost worldwide for what he does in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In addition to their presentation, we have a very dear friend of ours who happens to be one of the major sponsors of this event, Treasure Coast Urgent Care, and that is Dr. Michelle Libman. And on our flyer, you'll see a picture of her with her team of black belt karate people.
Wow.
Michelle's a second-degree black belt.
How'd you like your doctor to be a second degree?
Yes.
Get the tail out of that disease.
And to know Michelle, it's somewhat out of character for her. She's such a sweet, gentle woman.
She is.
But I'll tell you what, I've seen some videos of her. You got to see this woman.
She's
She is
amazing,
great.
and she has a new business called Live Hardy, and it's all about prevention. So she's one of those unique doctors that's getting into the prevention world,
Oh, wow.
which is wonderful.
That's
And I
great.
take her products, which Protandim and all the different things and the collagens, and it's amazing that physicians are getting more and more into the prevention realm.
Well, thank goodness.
Yeah, and you tell us about your wellness and prevention.
Well,
Years of experience.
I've been in wellness for 40 years, and it's good to hear that doctors are taking an interest and that they are really going down the road to help their patients, because prevention is huge in helping people to stay well. But you know, on Florida Faith and what they're going to be doing with this whole event, you know, to me, it is so important that children today know how to defend themselves. Unfortunately, folks, when we all grew up, we could go out in our neighborhoods, we could play, I'd ride my bike for 20 miles. I would be scared to death to let my child go out and do that today, because it's not a safe environment. So to me, I believe this is an event that you absolutely want to get your child to really learn how to defend themselves.
That's right, and
It's just
women
not-
too.
I want to build on that because it's more than just, and what you said is fantastic because that's the theme for the day. But when we talk about defense that we're going to tell people who are in attendance, one of the biggest defense mechanisms that we need to teach our children is self-defense online.
Right.
The computer is a dangerous vehicle. We know we all need it for our businesses to educate ourselves, but what happens online with what we're fighting for at Florida Faith Alliance, and that is to abolish, to stop human trafficking, literally starts online. You'll learn more about what we mean when we say that at this event, but it is critical that as parents and elders to our children and grandchildren, we teach them the self-defense online. So this event isn't just physical self-defense, it's the self-defense to protect our children, our grandchildren from the predators, the groomers in human trafficking.
Well, and you know, to add to that, Tony, what Florida Faith does is so incredible that Martin County and Indian River County, all of the schools have taken this program in, and they're teaching it from principals, faculty, teachers, and children. So, you know, they really know what they're talking about, and I mean, it'd just be a full day in all arenas for your child to be protected and educated on how to not be a child that would be trafficked.
And for those listening, how long has this Florida Faith Alliance been in existence?
You know, it's really not very old. I had the idea from God, and He really came and took me into a war room and showed me the whole plan at the end of 2022. So it's really only been in existence since 2023 and 2024. And so we are moving forward rapidly. And Chap, you are the one who, this is Chaplain Dave Thomas of the St. Lucie Sheriffs.
Thompson.
Why do I always do that?
He's one of those Wendy's. That's my other brother, Dave.
Okay.
Chaplain Dave,
Yes, ma'am.
he wrote the initial nomination letter for me to get the state award from Ashley Moody, and I just want to thank you for that.
Yes.
Well, Lynn, it was well earned. You know, a number of years ago, back in 2018, I sat on a board of Treasure Coast Christian Alliance made up of pastors and chaplains from Martin County and St. Lucie County. We're always looking at someone who's been a watchman on the wall, that's been looking out in a very protective way for our community. And Lynn, you've been in this human trafficking sector for over 25 years. I mean, Florida Faith Alliance is the newest manifestation of what you've been doing for a long time, but your seminars, and you know, there was one little takeaway you said. I went to one of the seminars. You said to tell families to have a password that they all know, because oftentimes I had a situation occur where a father and his son and his daughter were at a gun show, and the little girl got her dad was down another row, and her brother was another one. And all of a sudden, she's by herself, and this guy comes up and says, "Listen, your dad just had a heart attack. We're taking him to the hospital, and he told me to pick you up." Well, the father's looking around for the daughter, couldn't find her. He had the presence of mind to talk to the fellow who was running the gun show, and he got his cell number. When he walked into gun show, he called them and said, "Listen, I can't find my daughter." Right away, he locked the door. The guy was at the door
With his
with
daughter.
the 10-year-old daughter. Now, the brother was so impacted by it, he changed his major, went into cybersecurity. He was presenting at the luncheon that you all came to this past December, where I introduced you to the
Yes.
chiefs and sheriffs in Stewart. But you said, if this little girl had been trained by the family, and let's just say, hey, I said, "Hey, I know your Papa Tony. He had a heart attack. He's at the hospital." And say, "What's our family password?" And he'd go, "Password," and then she'd know right away.
Don't go.
That was
Don't
not.
go.
He's lying. And that was just one little takeaway in the seminar, which I thought was huge. And to see some of the training you've done with church groups, for them just to be aware, situational awareness in their community, where they see an inordinate amount of traffic at someone's house. And you mentioned there was one in Golden Gate where somebody noticed that, and you had a contact person, a detective with the Martin County Sheriff's Office. I'm with St. Lucie County. We have the same person, a point person there. And she called you called detective, and they sent some units over there. Lo and behold, this was a house trafficking. There were over 14 girls in that house. But they would have never known unless the woman had taken your seminar,
That's right.
where you were teaching them to be vigilant, to be the eyes and ears of the community.
So important. Well, prevention, we'd much rather prevent something than have to go and restore.
Yes.
And we do have restorative programs. You were telling me something too, Janet, that I thought was really important. It was the whole spiritual aspect of child trafficking.
Well, I used to follow this this gentleman that worked for the government, by the way. One of the things he said that was so impactful is that the Achilles heel of the wealthy and the elite is child trafficking.
Wow.
Because child trafficking, they're not just taken for sexual molestation, but they do something with them, which is they kind of take out, they put them in a space of panic and fear, and they extract the adrenochrome that can only come when the child is in a state of panic.
Wow.
So when it comes to the day of defense, this should be a no-brainer for every family.
Yes.
We should not have to say, please come, because this is preparing your child
Yes.
and bringing them to a place of awareness so that if something happened, they know exactly what to do, and the parent is also well aware, that their child is now equipped and the parents are equipped. We're not only equipping children, but we're equipping parents
Yes.
and every person that will attend the seminar.
Yes, concerned citizens.
Yes.
Anybody who wants to know more about how to take a stand in your community can come. Lillian, you're the mother of a 9-year-old. How important is it for parents to know this stuff?
It's extremely important. It's any type of martial arts is great for. It teaches discipline and it teaches awareness. So it makes the children more aware of the situation around them. They learn body language, and they're taught if they're ever in a situation where they have to escape, they're giving very specific moves that'll get them freed from the abductor and to safety. So I just think this is a wonderful program, and every parent should have their child involved in some sort of teaching of self-defense. So I encourage it, and I just think this is a great opportunity to get an idea of what you can do for your child.
And I think one of the things that's happening here, this is the first of many to come. We've already been committed to Indian River County,
Your county.
your county, Tony Dancy's county. We're hoping we could get into St. Lucie County
We need a
And
day of
Palm Beach
defense in
County?
St. Lucie County.
and in Palm
Yes.
Beach County.
And in Palm
And in
Beach County.
Broward.
This
And
is
Broward
critical.
County.
This is critical. I know that Lynn has been creating a relationship, although it's new, with Dade County. We're following up on that. These are people that we met at the National Human Trafficking Conference this past August in Phoenix, and Lynn is aligning herself with the principals, the people who lead the direction in Dade County, and that's our next step.
For the Human Trafficking Task Force, which we're talking to law enforcement up here in the Treasure Coast about beginning a human trafficking task force right here in the Treasure Coast. And this Day of Defense is just the beginning, just the beginning. So tell us what has happened since that first time that I came up to Indian River and everybody said, oh, human trafficking doesn't happen up here. We don't have predators. It doesn't happen in Vero Beach and Indian River County. And do you know how many arrests have taken place since then?
Well, I do remember that right after she spoke, it wasn't more than 2 weeks, that there was already a few arrests. There was a total of about 14 people. Also beyond that, what ended up happening, that the Vero Beach Police Department has also been in contact with you. Now they want to get more of the officers involved in the same thing. And what is important is that people, just because you wake up and you go outside your home and the sun is out and your grass looks good, it doesn't mean your neighborhood is all that good. I just want to let you know that we're from, living in Vero Beach, and it's a great place. Stuart is a great place. All these counties are great. But it's happening because what happens is the devil is in the darkness, that you don't see it. But we have a Lord that will bring all these things to light. But when that happens, everyone needs to be equipped. Every single person needs to be aware. I want to let you know that what this Day of Defense means is that you have to learn how to put up a fence in front of your defense. So I'm urging you to come. Make it a day of defense, not only for you, but for your whole family. And also I want to let you know that we can't wait to be more active in Vero Beach. We can't wait to make people aware. We can't wait, because you know what? The normal person will turn the other way and say, oh, I'm not affected by this, but indirectly you are. Yes. How? Yes. Because you can be a help. You can be a person that you see something, say something. Yes. You could remain anonymous. It won't come back to haunt you. There's 1,000 more pieces of information that you need to learn, you need to know, and you need to be aware, because you know what? You are a citizen that can help in a time like this.
That's right. That's right. Amen. Amen. And Nancy has been a part of our restorative program, as Lillian has, and Liz, I think you've taken that too, for the Power of Art.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and we're working directly with trafficked children. Currently, under the umbrella of Martin County Schools, we affect, over the period of the last 2 years, over 400 trafficked and abused children. Hibiscus House just invited us in to work with their abused and trafficked children, and the Gifford Center up in Indian River.
Yes.
And how did you feel about that course when you took that course, Nancy?
It was great, and actually because I was abused growing up, there were certain things inside of me that when I would draw the before and after pictures, there's a healing that comes forth, and the main purpose of the Florida Faith Alliance's art class is for the children to go ahead and be able to express their feelings through the art. And we have some of the most beautiful pictures and paintings and so much healing. And I remember you were speaking of one of the girls who said she got more out of the art class, of the art therapy, than going to a real therapist for a couple of years.
And we don't actually call it art therapy because we're not quote unquote therapists.
Right.
Yeah. But what's happened is God has given us a vehicle that is completely unique and different.
Yes.
And instead of just getting all the bad out and expressing it, which is what they do in art therapy, this is actually inputting something positive and powerful and wonderful right from heaven that literally starts to displace the PTSD, the anxiety, the self-harm, the self-hatred, those kinds of things. And Liz, what have you noticed about that with that art class, the Power of Art?
Yes, I noticed it through my grandson, Benjamin. And I speak to the grandparents out there, because I know how busy parents are with their children, but I applaud you to come. Bring them, the grandma, the grandpa, and come, because it is for your grandchildren. It really is important to me to be there for my grandchildren. And Benjamin actually took the art class, and he is just flourishing. And so many things have happened to him that are so good for their brain to work it out, you know, to work challenges that they have today, which he had a couple of challenges, which everybody knows, you know, in regards to the children that are going on the computer at 7 and 8 years old.
Mental health.
Mental health, yes, and they definitely need that. So Benjamin does not have a computer today, just to say.
So, Liz,
Neither do my
Liz,
grandchildren.
So tell us about what Benjamin did after taking
Yes.
the course at his school
Oh,
with
yes.
the computers.
Oh my god! So at the school, one day they were in the computer lab, and these two young boys were on the computer.
This is 7 and 8 years old now.
And now they're 7 and 8, and yeah, Benjamin was 7 then, and the children were on the computer. So they told Benjamin, come here, let's look at this. And he went over and he went, no, I'm not going to look at that. Those children had hacked into the system and were on a pornographic site with this woman dressed in lingerie.
At public school.
At the public school. So, of course, it was a shutdown. I don't know how they got in, but these children are savvy today. Because what they're doing, they're watching their parents and their brothers. And what it is, listen, do not go on those sites. Okay, your children are watching you. This is really awareness of what you're doing. Okay, and your children are suffering for that. So the whole thing, the parents were called in, and yes, all of that. But parents, the phrase Lynn taught Benjamin was, don't take the bait.
Right.
So he said, don't take the bait. I'm not taking the bait. And I just
wouldn't look. So the cool thing
Yes.
is that Benjamin, he stars in our videos, and he was taught, turn away from pornography,
Yes.
don't look. And that's exactly
Yes.
what he did. When
He
those
did.
kids tempted him,
I know.
he turned away. He spun on his heels and he turned away. 7 years old. I said, Benjamin, how'd you know not to do that?
Well, as a mental health practitioner, Lynn, and I've worked in the critical incident sector for almost 30 years, we have a saying, when you know better, you do better.
That's true.
And I was just thinking, one of the art classes you had here at the church, we brought two young girls that were friends of our family. One was actually a niece's daughter, and the other was a friend's daughter, and both of them have had lots of trauma in their life, without getting into particulars. And they sat in the class, the parents just said, would you like to go to church? And the little 10-year-old and the 11-year-old said, oh, okay. Well, what they did was they drew, and what you were doing that night. And when they left, they said, this was the best church service they'd ever been to in their life. So I thought, okay, you know, when in doubt, just check with Dr. Google. And so I was looking up creativity. It says creativity has many benefits. It improves mental well-being, it reduces stress and anxiety, it increases positive feelings. It also can help people approach problems in new ways and find innovative solutions. It's the foundation of innovation. It helps them identify new opportunities. It broadens their perspective, gives them a sense of accomplishment. They have sharing creative activities with others can provide camaraderie and a sense of purpose. And it has a very soothing quality to the brain and the body, which is what happened with the young kids in the mental health center that reported out to you how impactful as they could, you know, there's somebody wrote a book called Feelings Buried Alive Don't Die. And allowing these emotions to come out in a very creative way
That's the healing.
really does. Like
Say that
like you
again.
said, feelings that are buried alive do not die.
They don't.
So we have to give them an opportunity to come out. Now sometimes somebody told me we only speak with words are 7% of how we communicate. So to be able to give expression to what's going on the inside allows a release to take place. And I remember there was an actress that was married to a fellow, and it was a call-in show. It was two Christian psychiatrists, Dr. Manurtha Meyer, had a show out of Dallas. And this guy said, Doc, you know, my wife's leaving me, and I'm a multi-millionaire. I'll treat this lady like the prom queen, but she's leaving me. And he says, let me ask you a question. Has she been married for? Yeah, she's been married several times. Do you know anything about her past? Yeah, when she was a little girl, I think she was abused, Doc. I think she was sexually abused. He said, has she ever talked to you about it? I said, nope. He says, well, until she can let those emotions out, the way she deals with it is she keeps moving on. But he said, well, Doc, what's it gonna, he says, but when she allows those feelings to come out, she's not gonna have to trade in relationships, she's not gonna have to have a geographic cure. And in your classes, Lynn, you're giving them a very powerful venue to allow those emotions to come out. And like these two little girls said, who obviously I can't get into specifics, but they've had lots of trauma in their life. And they said this was probably the best church service they'd ever been to in their life. Why? Because they got a chance to vent and put some feelings out there in a creative way. So our feelings aren't bad, they just are. And when we've locked them in a room on timeout, said you're bad, well, they're not bad. They're just a reaction to what happened.
Right.
So when they get to come out, they go, thank you, you know,
Well,
and you move on.
And the thing is, shame has power as long as it remains hidden and when it's below the surface. And when you give a child an opportunity to start bringing that out because you're giving them permission, when they're in the right side of their brain, that's where all the noise stops, all the voices stop, everything's peaceful. They're able to actually assimilate, they're able to receive, and they're able to think clearly. And so that's the perfect opportunity to be able to talk about these things.
Of course, now
That's why
you
it works.
taught the class in our jail. We have a faith dorm, and you had two of your, well, actually I call them interns. There were two of your volunteers who had been trained by you to come in and offer the 9-week class. And you went in on a couple occasions. Oh yeah, a lot of these girls have been trafficked. And they, Sue teaches in that class now, but they were beside themselves. They could not wait for this class to come in. And one of them had told me, I'm told my kids, look, I'm growing and I got all these pictures I'm going to bring home and show you that mommy's not just getting in trouble in jail, she's actually getting better. But she wanted to show them all the pictures she had drawn and probably explain the lessons they learned in it. So
how wonderful.
Powerful.
Yeah, we just had a letter from a young girl who'd been trafficked. She was 14 years old, and I'll try to remember this. She wrote 2 pages about how she had been impacted and how we brought her closer to God, but we didn't preach in this class. But to her, that brought her closer to God.
We actually had one girl who really, for the most part, she said, I'm different than all of you, you know, I'm not a career criminal, all that. But we knew she had lots of trauma. But she wouldn't open up till the class. And when she started drawing, she wrote this, everybody said, what's the benefit of class? Everybody wrote a paragraph. She wrote 2 pages of what an impact this class had and what a difference her life was going to be now.
So one of the girls wrote a 17-page letter who had been trafficked by her father since she was in diapers.
Oh,
and when she wouldn't perform correctly at age 3, he would rub hot sauce in her eyes and torture her to where she would perform. And she was 17, she was misshapen. She had big bulges on her shoulder and a hump back and stuff where she had been beaten so badly. Her whole body was just like torn apart. She was the most beautiful. She said that was the first time she ever told her whole story to anybody. I have her letter. And she said, I don't care where I end up, I'm going to come back and I'm going to find Visionary School of Arts and I'm going to find all you. And I'm going to come help you do what you do for other kids. And someday I'm going to speak in front of 1 million people and I'm going to tell them my story.
Carl Jung, who was a student of Sigmund Freud, said, everyone needs someone to share their shadow.
They need a witness.
Yeah, and Lynn, you know, kind of to bring this all around to the Day of Defense.
Prevention.
Yeah, well, what I want to just share a quick little story of a gentleman that Dwight and I know very well. He's got like 10 degrees, PhDs. He's originally from Nigeria. When Nigeria had the epidemic of AIDS, he was the one that worked with the government, and what he did was he said, the way to stop the epidemic is education.
Yes.
And so what he did was he wrote the curriculum, and he said, teach the children will teach the parents.
That's right.
And it put it in remission. And so really, you know, what I really want to stress here is that Day of Defense is where you're going to be teaching children and parents about how you can be preventive and also how you can.
And what day is that again? In January?
January.
11.
Saturday.
Saturday.
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
And how old do the children have to be?
Oh, you can bring your 3-year-old if you want to. You can bring them as young as you want. They'll enjoy watching these self-defense demonstrations. The sheriff's office will be there talking about how to defend yourself in situations, be aware of situations. And then I will be talking about how to defend yourself online. And, you know, we just had a grandmother from one of our trainings whose children were in the Roblox game, and they were invited into a condo or a vault, as they're sometimes called, exposed to violent sexual orgies. Online. And it just about took apart their 14-year-old granddaughter, that she stopped functioning in school, grades plummeted, locked herself in her room. She just, you know, disengaged from the family. And so grandma insisted that the parents talk to her and find out what's going on. She had all the signs of somebody being trafficked. And they found out that she had a transgender girlfriend, and came into her life as a recruiter in her school and invited her into this game, Roblox, and began to expose her to violence that no adult should see, let alone a child. And they were able to, although the school did nothing, the sheriff in Virginia did nothing, this is where it happened, even though the awareness was here, this saved a child in Virginia just as her 7-year-old little sister was being invited into the vault.
Wow.
So I can't stress.
And she came to your class.
She came to my class. And that's the only reason these 2 children were saved. They had to pull them out of school and go to a different district to get them away from these recruiters and from the bullying that was going on.
Well, and I remember the grandmother saying to me, oh my gosh, what Lynn was teaching in the class, she said, I think that's what's wrong with my granddaughter. And she went home and she called her daughter, and it took about 2 months, and so this class can teach you a lot. And what's the cost for children and adults?
$10 for adults, $5 for kids, and there's free prizes, free gifts, there's raffles. You can walk away with a lot of stuff. Most importantly, you'll walk away equipped in how to protect children. That's true. Yes.
Visit floridafaithalliance.org.
Now, Lisa, do you want to cap us off with anything you want to say?
Just hope to see everybody there. This is a great opportunity to make a difference in your community. Visit our website at floridafaithalliance.org.
And this is Lisa Grishio. She is our county coordinator for Broward County. So look out, Broward County. We're coming out. All right, everybody. God bless you.
God bless.